What band could you listen to their entire discography, skipping very few songs? Creedence Clearwater Revival. The most cliché answer, but it's so true for me. The Beatles. None of their songs are too long and just the right amount of repetitive to not annoy me. Greater than none of their songs are too long and just the right amount of repetitive to not annoy me. Hey Jude has gotta push the limits on this criteria. Portishead. Only 3 records, would not skip a song. Radiohead. LCD Soundsystem and Arcade Fire. Got me through 2020 like nothing else could. Steely Dan. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Especially Damn the Torpedoes, Wildflowers and Mojo. Alice in Chains. They don't have any bad albums in my opinion. Daft Punk made a movie out of a LP. So I can be visually entertained visually as well. You should check out Pink Floyd's Another Brick in the Wall. Edit. The movie is called The Wall. Rush. Royal Blood. Pink Floyd. Motorhead. Rage Against the Machine. Came here to say Rush. The National, Wolf Parade, Leonard Cohen, David Bowie, Tool, Interpol, and the Counting Crows. Black Sabbath. I agree up until Sabotage. Technical Ecstasy and Never Say Die, I can't get through. And while I respect Dio and acknowledge his talent, it just isn't the same for me. Look up some interviews and documentaries about those late Aussie years. One of the quotes I remember was Iommi saying, the cocaine budget for that record was bigger than the studio budget, and the studio budget was £35,000, and that was in £1,975. I remember them saying they'd go into the studio with nothing written, high as a kite, confident that they'd be able to write something amazing on the spot like they did in the good old days, but they were so damn high they thought any horrible dribble was amazing, and those 2 albums were the product of that process. Tool. I love every actual Tool song and have been a huge fan since the mid-90s, but come on. Message to Harry Manback, Lipin Conjuring, Chocolate Chip Trip, Mocking Beat? I listened to them all through at least once, respect the art yada yada. Every album has 2 to 4 filler tracks of non-music noises etc. Hard skip if I can reach the controls. Pearl Jam has a special spot in my heart. Joy Division had the greatest discography of all time. 2 flawless records of unimaginable power and emotional depth, and every single non-album track and officially released live cut is worth hearing. The Heart and Soul box set is a prized possession of mine. Rest in peace, Ian. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. I did it once, started at 7:30 a.m. and finished at around midnight, including time spent flipping each record over and putting the next one on. Wait a week, they'll probably have another couple of albums out. Stone Temple Pilots. Fleetwood Mac. They might be giants. I want to start a cover band called They Most Likely Are. Arctic Monkeys. What's amazing is each album of theirs is so different from the previous that it feels like each one has been made by different artists. Cypress Hill, A Perfect Circle, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, Queens of the Stone Age, and the Deftones. If we were to include artists that are just one person this list would be longer. 100% Queens of the Stone Age. His voice is just so alluring and soft for what the music is emo. System of a Down. Oingo Boingo. And, later, the movie scores of Danny Elfman. For a second, I completely forgot JoJo characters were named after bands, songs, and albums. Brand New. All of their albums are amazing. But Deja Entendu was an absolute masterpiece. Rainbow, Queen, Iron Maiden, Rammstein, Blind Guardian, Gojira. Rammstein and Gojira, agree 100%. Rammstein in total has maybe 2 songs that I would skip. Nightwish. Manchester Orchestra. Simon and Garfunkel. 9 Inch Nails. Fleet Foxes. Clutch. No weak spots on any album, and each album better than the last. Nirvana. Alice in Chains, if we only count them as with Lane Staley. I know, breaking the rules, Smashing Pumpkins. Beatles. Nirvana for sure, love every album. Queen. The Strokes. I found Alex Turner, Everybody. Periphery. I don't think I'd actually have to skip any. They only have less good ones, not bad. The Killers. I was wondering why I had to scroll this far to see them. Each song is better than the last. My Chemical Romance. Linkin Park. Red Hot Chili Peppers. Queen. Someone have already said many artists, so I won't repeat those, but Soundgarden desperately needs a repeat. Chris Cornell was one of the best vocalists of his time, debatably his century. I absolutely love Chris Cornell's voice. I remember hearing Right Turn by Alice in Chains for the first time and was like, wait a goddamn minute. Sure enough, Lane Staley and Chris Cornell together. Absolute love. Massive Attack. Ween. No band can play every genre with the talent and humor of Ween in my opinion. I can't believe I had to scroll down this far to see them. Fuck you, you stinkin' ass hoe, go piss up a rope. Smiley face. Alice in Chains, not a single bad album. City and Color. Led Zeppelin, Police and Dire Straits. In my Spotify playlists they are the only bands without any gaps in their official discography. My other favorites, e.g. Doors, Pink Floyd, U2, Black Sabbath, Van Halen and Queen do have gaps in their respective discographical playlists. Linkin Park. Pink Floyd. I love Pink Floyd, but I could think of at least 3 albums I'd skip. The stuff they put out in the middle of their career is the work of gods, but their early work and some of their post-Water stuff usually gets a skip from me. The Cure. Disintegration is the best album ever. Rise Against definitely. I'm so ready for their new album in June. The Doors. 0 skips. Jamiroquai. Led Zeppelin and Kings of Leon. Cigarettes After Sex. All the songs are good but they're basically all the same song lol. I can't tell the difference between them at all. Nirvana. Empire of the Sun. I can listen to Two Vines, Ice on the Dune, and Walking on a Dream over and over on a loop for days, and I've been doing very nearly that for almost a month. Their songs are different and complex enough to allow for that. Second place goes to the Royal Concept. Era. Their new album is sick. I love Snowblood so much. Pantera, Slayer, Megadeth, Anthrax, Black Sabbath, The Prodigy, Nirvana, Guns N' Roses, Green Day. Death Cab for Cutie. I mostly listen to metal but musically everything by Death Cab is just perfect. ABBA. When they're bad, they're just as entertaining. Beastie Boys. The Grateful Dead. What's a Deadhead's favorite Grateful Dead song? The one he is currently listening to. Pixies. Billy Talent. They're my favorite band and it sucks that almost no one around me knows who they are. Sad face. One year at Warp the drummer threw his stick into the crowd and I happened to catch it. I couldn't believe it. Then as I was walking to the next stage, I ran into the lead singer. He signed the stick and took a picture with me. First time I was ever legitimately starstruck. A Day to Remember. Steely Dan, with a very big skip for East St. Louis Toodle-oo. Arcade Fire, Foo Fighters. Foo Fighters are great and I can't think of a song I don't like. The Smiths. Still think they could have produced many good albums but Johnny left when his heart was no longer in it. For me, Maz and Johnny both released loads of good material in the few years after they split. System of a Down. Type O Negative. Elliott Smith. Cake. Linkin Park. The Wonder Years, Outkast, Modern Baseball. Porcupine Tree. Neil Young. The Band. Yes, also the albums after they reconvened without Robbie Robertson. The other 4 were still geniuses together, even with one important piece of the whole puzzle missing. System of a Down. I don't think there are any songs I would skip and it's one of the few bands that I love all of their albums. I think mine would definitely be Type O Negative, 9 Inch Nails, and Interpol. Have listened to NIN's entire discography today. It's an amazing ride every time. The 1975, Fall Out Boy and Kent. Queen. U2. Hozier. Hozier. For when you want to feel all the things. Linkin Park. Architects. Mallory Knox. Thank You Scientist. I would say Powfu and Avenged Sevenfold. They are very different styles of music, but both do an amazing job of putting meaning into their music. Dire Straits. Alkaline Trio, The Gaslight Anthem, Coheed and Cambria, The Wonder Years, Simple Creatures. Coheed. Gorillaz, MGMT. Radiohead. Lots. System of a Down, Primus, Alice in Chains, Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins, Pearl Jam, Stone Temple Pilots, MSI, Led Zeppelin, Tool, Genesis, Peter Gabriel, anything with Chris Cornell, Rasputina, The Cardigans, The Pillows, Dirn Grey, Eminem. The list goes on and on. Deftones. I can't believe I had to scroll so far down to find Deftones. Dream Theater. I cannot get through The Astonishing or their self-titled album. I'm really not as big of a fan of their newer music. Plus a lot of people forget their album Before Images and Words. When Dream and Day unite they do have many albums that could be listened to in full though. I could do at least 8. Slipknot. Oh hello fellow maggot. Portugal. The Man. Zeppelin and Guns N' Roses for me. Linkin Park. The Offspring. Queen. Their songs are incredibly diverse. Rage Against the Machine aka the best band in the fucking universe. NoFX. I just love it all. I love NoFX, but there's a pretty steep drop-off after Wolves in Wolves Clothing, and I'm not huge on anything before Ribbed either. If I'm picking an older punk group for their whole discography, it's Bad Religion. Paramore. Coldplay. Rammstein. I even flew halfway around the world to see them live. Foster the People. Parkway Drive, Killswitch Engage, Architects and Slipknot. Bill Wetter's Linkin Park. I actually did one time. I sat down for 10 hours and listened to every single one of their songs. Ghost. Love me some Scooby-Doo Satan metal. Pearl Jam. Yes. The Beatles, Radiohead, Pink Floyd, System of a Down, LCD Soundsystem, Fleet Foxes, Sonic Youth, Daft Punk, Ghost, 9 Inch Nails and many more. They might be giants. Rush, Pink Floyd, Lamb of God, Agalloch. Definitely Rush. I don't even think Tyshawn was that bad. Fight me, whatever. Queen. Thin Lizzy. The Backstreet Boys. Beartooth. I'd not skip any song. Alternatively I Prevail, or A Day to Remember. Depending on my mood I'll sometimes skip Sick and Disgusting, but there's not another skippable song on any Beartooth album. Bring Me the Horizon, Rise Against, Shinedown, Cruella though, to be fair, I think there's I've heard this many times and my mind now just likes it for the familiarity factor that comes with listening to albums in their entirety, as your default way of listening to music. I can't think of all that many bands in my library that I couldn't listen to their discography with very few skips. The only one that comes to mind, actually, is my favorite band Architects, well, technically a three-way tie between them and the first two I mentioned earlier, because their first few albums are just so raw. Super appreciate what they grew into, but those first 2 to 4 albums would be a struggle for me to get through. Metallica Alabama, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Foo Fighters, Blue Edmondson, Tupac. I've never understood why I don't like Foo Fighters more. It has all the right things on paper but somehow doesn't have the spark for me. A few tracks from the early years are great, Everlong, I'll Stick Around, Hero etc. But I think too much of their middle stuff feels very similar, derivative or obvious somehow. I have huge respect for the whole band though as musicians. A few of their newer tracks are real bangers too, so maybe they're evolving still and I will too. Opeth 9 Inch Nails David Bowie. The Weeknd. Dude is incapable of producing a bad song. Queen. Easy, because no matter what mood you're in, they have the right song to fit it. Granted, some songs are iffy, but most are enjoyable. Def Leppard. Even the newest stuff. All Gold. Mr. Big as well. Panic at the Disco. The Camberries. Weezer, Nirvana and The Beach Boys, and believe me I've done all three a few times. Weezer? Really? I've never heard another band whose best and worst works are so far apart. FIDLAR. Smashing Pumpkins and Blue October. Pantera. Lemon Demon. Almost no bad songs. Why is this so far down? 21 Pilots. Coheed and Cambria. Something out his voice and nostalgia really do it for me. This is tough for me. I enjoy their music a lot, but the vocal is really hard for me to appreciate. It's an acquired taste, I would say. 21 Pilots. OMG, Sue True, it seems like they can't not make a bop. Shy Away is one of my fav songs RN. Starset. Fuck yeah man. Every song is an absolute masterpiece. Ricochet is my absolute favorite by them. The Chemical Brothers. They've yet to put out a truly bad track in 30 years. Blind Melon. Only 3 albums, but fuck me are they 3 perfect albums. Just a bunch of perfect musicians jamming the fuck together. Yeah, No Rain, one hit wonder, blah blah. Muse and Glass Animals are top tier for me, def recommend a listen. Dream Theater. I recently did, in chronological order. The only one I struggle with is their self-titled album, which I think is pretty bland compared to the rest of their repertoire. Caius maybe Lamb of God. Not a band, but the entire Zelda soundtrack, the entire Final Fantasy soundtrack, and of course, Terraria soundtrack. Cool to see some VGOSTs on this list. I agree, there are some fantastic VGOSTs with tracks I wouldn't skip. Probably King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard just for sheer variety. Their albums include *A Spaghetti Western Audiobook *, an acid jazz tribute to a suburb of Melbourne *, a Middle Eastern style pop album *, a heavy metal record about a robot drowning the universe in vomit. Tragically hip. Jesus, why did it take so long to find this? Bowie. Die Antwoord. I may get some downvotes because cancel culture, they were involved in a fair amount of controversies, yet it's rare to find a band so versatile. They're so weird and extreme, yet creative enough that 2 songs never look like the same. The only common thing I can identify between 2 random songs is Yolandi's distinctive voice. Their video clips are also very WTF-ish and fun to watch. I discovered the band quite late, like 10 years after they were around, but every time I ask, Alexa, play Die Antwoord, I can go through the entire collection of all albums without feeling annoyed. I'm not downvoting you, it's a valid opinion you hold. I'm wondering how you can listen to that, whatever they call it. It's packaged MIDI with screeching over top of it. Maybe I just don't get it, and I'm willing to entertain that idea. The Decemberists. In a close second are Daft Punk.
Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.